We are live.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Committee for December. Madam Clerk, can you confirm that the roll call has been taken? Through the chair, the roll has been taken. Perfect. Members of the committee, any declarations of conflict of interest for anyone? Seeing none. We do have a statutory hearing, which will be handled separately, and we only have the minutes. Would anyone like the minutes separated for discussion? Seeing none, can I get a mover and seconder for the minutes? Councillor Suss, seconded by Councillor McCreary. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you take the vote?
The minutes carry on recorded vote of 5-0. Those voting in favor, Councillor Sokoli, Sless, McCreary, Carpenter, and Tilburg.
Perfect. And as mentioned earlier, we do have a statutory public hearing on today's agenda. So this meeting will be held in accordance with the Planning Act. The name of anyone who is looking to speak in regards to this item will appear in the meeting minutes, just so you know. Anyone wishing to have notice of any further proceedings of this item can leave their name and contact information at the back of the room. The applicant will speak first, followed by municipal staff. Each party will have 10 minutes inclusive of questions, after which the applicant will be given 5 minutes to respond to any issues that are raised by any members of the public that was brought forward. I'll ask any member of the public who does want to speak that we speak respectfully and we're not displaying any signs or place cards that may be deemed disrespectful. Okay, so we'll move forward. I'll now call upon the applicant to come forward. We have Bob Phillips representing Danny Bawa. And just a reminder, you'll have 10 minutes inclusive of questions of this committee.
I'm here today with David Bernard from API Consultants, and he'll do the primary presentation.
Sorry. Yes, my name is Dave Bernard. I'm with Sapos Architects, API Consultants Inc. We're here to present a proposal to construct a 10-story, 239 room retirement home with some underground parking spaces in it. The land currently is zoned, I think it's M2, and we're looking to rezone it to a commercial zone, which is, I believe, C8. I don't really have that much to say about it. I'm here to really answer more questions about it. Our planner is actually away at the moment, so I'm here in her stay.
Okay, any questions of the committee? Councillor Carpenter.
Thanks for coming. And the ground floor on this property is going to have commercial.
It will, yes.
And then there's going to be commercial separate for the residents, for example, their own restaurant or for their own seating and meals will be applied. So when we talk about retirement home, it's a kind of retirement home that provides food services and then if need be, nursing services on different levels. It's all different services so that you're not in everything before long-term care possibilities.
Go ahead.
Sorry, to answer your question. Yes, the development of this hotel is actually going to be tiered so that, sorry, I keep saying hotel. We do a lot of hotels, I apologize. Retirement homes. The top of the building basically is more of an apartment style, but seniors apartment. So you're looking 70 to 80 years old that actually still cook for themselves. And then as you move down the building, you get more care. So you move down into the like a restaurant at the bottom that people can eat at, so that they get more services and that sort of stuff. So it's transitional, so that you don't actually have to leave one building to go to a different building, and so on.
And this building is on a bus route, I believe. And it's also, this building is also is in what will be in our new official planning intensification corridor, where we're looking for high-rise development.
Sorry, I can't actually hear.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Up next, Councillor McCreary.
Sure, thank you. Welcome, gentlemen. You can be forgiven for that slip because there is commonality between both of these uses in the hospitality industry. So there are two criteria in order to satisfy the H provision. One is a land use compatibility study. Can you tell us exactly how you understand that and if you've got that underway now?
Currently, we have the D6 study. We actually submitted D6 study with our application as an application requirements. There was peer review comments that we're just addressing right now. The comments, basically, we didn't do a far enough radius in our, we only did 500, where the requirement is 1,000-meter radius for looking at the industries around us. And the other one was a noise study, and they wanted also odor added to the study as well, which we didn't include.
So the land use compatibility study will study the compatibility of the land use. Is that correct?
Yes, the industry around us, the zoning, the current businesses that are around us, if we're in compatibility with them.
So does that examines the impact the neighborhood has on your development and that your development has
Yes.
on the neighbor?
Yeah.
Okay. And also the noise study, is that similar that it looks at the impact noise will have on the residents as well as the impact the development will have on the neighbors?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great, and seeing no further questions for you, I'll ask you to just have a seat and we'll move forward into the staff presentation. And I think we have Mila coming up from staff, who will give our staff presentation. As a reminder, you have 10 minutes, inclusive of questions from this committee.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mila Masick. I am an intermediate planner here at the City of Brantford. I am here to discuss file application PZ-16-24 for the lands known as 571 West Street. The purpose of the application is going to be to amend the City of Brantford zoning bylaws 160-90 and 124-2024. Under our 1990 zoning bylaw, the applicant is requesting a zone change from the general industrial to the general commercial zone. And under our 2024 bylaw, the applicant requires a zone amendment to the current major commercial center zone. Both zones will require site-specific provisions. And this application is in order to permit a 10-story mixed-use building with a retirement home and commercial uses at grade. Currently existing on the site is a 1-story commercial building, previously a CKPC radio station. There is an existing access off of West Street and parking located to the rear. Surrounding uses to the site include light industrial uses to the north, northeast, and south. Service and retail commercial uses to the southeast and the south of the site, as well as single detached dwellings and townhomes just across from West Street, so to the west of the site. I've included a photo of the site plan. West Street runs along the northern lot line. It's been cut off so I can fit the entire plan on screen there. As I mentioned before, the applicant is proposing a 10-story mixed-use building outlined in the purple rectangular shape on the lot. Within this building, there are 239 retirement home units being proposed with 335 square meters of commercial space and 101 parking spaces split between surface parking and one level of underground parking as well. This is just a site photo I've taken off of West Street. That is the existing building on the site. Another site photo, this time taken just a little bit further into the site off of the existing access that displays the depth of the lot. So under our official plan, specifically Schedule 3 relating to land use designation, the property is within the major commercial center designation. The intent of this designation is to create comprehensively planned centers. Specifically, larger sites in this designation have the potential to intensify with a broad mix of uses around existing shopping centers. And I will note that the Linden Park Mall is less than a kilometer away from this the site. Another intent of this designation is to facilitate key destinations for existing and future transit systems. The applicant has provided a comprehensive site with many amenities provided to its proposed and planned tenants, as well as commercial uses to service them and nearby residential communities, such as the ones located across from West Street. The site or the proposed development will also draw employees to the site, with the planned tenants increasing demand to our transit routes, both existing and future planned, in order to allow for transportation to nearby uses. I touched on this a little before, but under our 1990 zoning bylaw, the current zone is a general industrial zone, and the proposed zoning is a general commercial zone. There are site-specific provisions in order to add retirement home as a permitted use within a mixed-use building, reduction to loading space requirements, as well as an increased maximum building height. Under our 2024 zoning bylaw, the applicant is requesting that they remain within the major commercial center zone, but with site-specific provisions to permit reduced landscape open space, reduced parking, and amenity space per unit requirements, as well as additional provisions related to the design of mixed-use buildings. The site-specific provisions differ due to the 2024 zoning regulations being a little bit more permissive, providing a wider range of permitted uses, applicable setbacks, and building height, for example. When undergoing review of this application, staff considered a number of items. For example, transportation aspects. Part of our transportation review included a review of the parking justification study and the traffic impact study. The comments received from our engineering staff confirmed that no additional mitigation will be required and that the levels of service is expected to remain acceptable after the building has been constructed. Regarding urban design, built form, and the future intent of the area within the city, staff completed a review of overarching policy, such as the provincial planning statement and the official plan, as well as the urban design manual. A review of those policies found that the application meets the intent of them, as well as the application also directly references several aspects of urban design objectives, such as the pedestrian-friendly street frontage, location of parking to the rear and underground when possible. In addition to that, staff will continue to work with the applicant through the site plan phase to emphasize additional aspects of urban design. Staff also considered the provided shadow and wind study. The shadow study showed that industrial buildings would be impacted the most, and the residential buildings across the street would very minimally, if at all, be impacted by the shadows. As well as the wind study showed that wind levels throughout the year is expected to remain low. Finally, considering adjacent land uses and land use compatibility, staff reviewed the provided land use compatibility study and noise study and completed a peer review of our own. The studies found that a few mitigations could occur in order to make the proposal compatible, including certain building materials and warning clauses registered on title. The peer review identified additional areas of investigation and mitigation to occur. And for this reason, staff are recommending a holding provision be added in order to allow the applicant to proceed with a proposal that is ultimately supported by planning staff, while ensuring that proper mitigation will be undertaken so that the development will be compatible with its surrounding uses. So the proposal will be refined in response to the peer review. And once satisfactory to the city, the holding can be removed and the application can go through the site plan process. In conclusion, staff believe that the application is consistent with the 2024 provincial planning statement and official plan policies, and that the proposal intensifies development along an arterial corridor and diversifies housing supply along the existing and planned transit routes within the city. Ultimately, planning staff recommend the zoning bylaw amendment be approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have a few questions for you. Councillor Van Tilburg, you're up first.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, I just have one question, and it's regarding the loading zones. It's to be reduced from 2 to 1. What's the normal reason that we have 2? Why is there a justification to go to 1? The building's taller, there's going to be more commercial entities in there. So I just kind of want to know what's the logic behind the number of loading zones.
Thank you, and through the chair, typically under our 1990 zoning bylaw, 2 loading spaces are required, one for a mixed-use building with 25 or more units, and another for if commercial square meters, sorry, the total amount of commercial space on the property is over a certain amount of square meters. So the second loading space under our zoning bylaw would be required for the commercial uses at the site. However, our 2024 bylaw only requires 1 loading space. And for that reason, staff are also in support of that reduction, with the understanding that the commercial uses can also share the loading space that is currently proposed on site with the rest of the uses.
So that would be shared with the retirement home.
That's correct.
And wouldn't you expect there to be high turnover back and forth in retirement homes? Using up loading spaces.
Through you, Chair, to the councillor, that's correct. We anticipate that the loading spaces would be used at different times of the day, so perhaps residents are moving in to the retirement home at a separate time than when commercials are receiving deliveries.
Okay, thank you.
We've just exceeded our 10 minutes, so unless anyone would like to extend that, we can continue with our questions up here during the debate portion. Are we okay with that? Yeah, okay. All right, so we'll now move forward to the public portion of this meeting. So if there's any members who are looking to speak, just raise your hand. If you're attending virtually, make sure you use the raise hand function on Zoom. But if there is anyone here in the room who would like to come up and speak, yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say, raise your hand. You can come up, have a seat at one of the microphones. You'll see a little button there. When it lights up red, you're ready to go. You'll have 10 minutes, inclusive of questions from this committee. Please make sure you're stating your name and your address at the beginning of your presentation.
My name is Bill Cheevers. I live at 570 West Street, Unit 8. Our property is the town house development directly across from this project. First, I have absolutely no problem with the development. I think the use is going to be excellent. We could do an awful lot worse. Nobody wants a big high rise, but that's fine. We know what's going to happen, and the uses that are going in there are the best we could hope for. Our concern is strictly traffic. Our property has 2 entrances off of West Street. The first one near Zares, if you were leaving our property, you have to only turn right because there's a median on the road. So everybody has to come around and go through the second entrance, which is closer to the old Chinese restaurant down that way. In making a left-hand turn, there is a middle lane. You've got 2 lanes, a catchment lane in the middle, and 2 more lanes. And unless there's no traffic coming at all, of course, if there isn't, you just go right out. Most of the time, there's a lot of traffic on that street. And most of the time, it's going at 60K. I personally have no problem moving out and going into that median, middle lane, but a lot of people do. My wife, for instance, won't even attempt it. She just does not feel comfortable getting caught out in that lane. Cause sometimes you do, you get caught out there and you have to wait till everything clears or until somebody blinks their lights and lets you in. There's that much traffic. That's the prime problem, at that site, and it's only gonna get worse. Now, when the new building goes up, as I understand it, their main entrance will be towards the Zares end of it. And they're gonna come out and anybody turning left, and they're gonna go into that middle lane, and we're gonna come out the other way and go into that middle lane, and there's a lot of traffic. Now, here we are both in that lane with nowhere to go. And that's a problem. And I think it's something I would like to have the city, traffic department, or I don't know if you still have a traffic engineer or not, but, I'd like them to have a look at that and, perhaps give us their feelings on it. Some people already will turn right and then go down to the first light and then want to go left and go around where the Bell City, Brands building is and go out to say the mall or Linden Road or anywhere and go that way. That presents a problem too, because, you get to the first street and there's no advanced light. So you could sit there for the whole light and then, when it clears, you go and you're going against the yellow light or even a red light. You're into that intersection and you're waiting for it. You're caught in the red light often because people are coming up the other way at 60K. Some of them aren't stopping. So anyway, I would like that whole area reviewed, and I don't know whether it has. I saw the original traffic study when, following our meeting, the earlier meeting they had at the Holiday Inn or the Best Western. It shows my age. That report only referred to traffic volumes on West Street and had no reference to our property whatsoever. I'm just wondering if, since that time, there's been anybody has looked at our situation. If they have, I haven't seen the report. And if they have, I'd like to see that report. Our whole group would. I heard about a noise bylaw. I'm not particularly worried about it, but where my unit is. But for those who are right on West Street, I wouldn't mind seeing a copy of that too. Anyway, that's about all I have to say.
Thank you so much, Bill. And we do have one question for you from, I believe, your city councilor, Councilor Carpenter.
No, it's Councilor Ward 3, but thanks for coming, Bill, and glad you're enjoying your retirement. You're in support of the application, but the traffic issues that you raised have been around for some time. You want us to make sure that the issue of West Street corridor, that area, and Edmondson Street, and the other end by the Zares Plaza, those lights be looked at, and that center lane be looked at for safety precautions going forward for all concerned.
Well, that's fine if it is.
Yeah. So you'd like to look at the advanced screens, how traffic's moving, how it's not moving, especially with Costco being in place now too, I imagine.
Yeah, I don't know how much Costco affects us, but, yeah.
Well, thanks for coming, Bill. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
And Councilor McCreary.
Bill, hang on.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're not getting off that easy.
No, I guess not.
So, the traffic, so now if you wanna, if you're nervous about making the left to go northbound, you go southbound, you have to take Edmondson around, you have to circle. Have you driven that lately since Costco is open?
It's a lot busier.
It's a lot busier. Do you think left turn restriction coming out of the development might be helpful?
I think it'd be perfect.
So you'd like to look at a number of different options that we could perhaps
I'd like to
consider.
see the city look at them.
Yeah,
Yeah, but your point about the left turn coming out, yes, that would be a good idea.
so we will, as part of the site plan, that'll be looked at, I guess. And hopefully we can come up with a solution that's going to work for everybody across the street as well. As you've said, I think I heard you say that as far as the development goes, you're reconciled that it's going to happen and it's probably not going to be a terrible thing, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, so that's the only concern we've got across the street in the beautiful third ward, is to mitigate the impact of the development in the fourth. Yeah, thank you.
Now I think you're off the hook. Thank you. Is there anyone else here present in council chambers who would like to come forward and speak to this item? And I gotta ask 3 times. So is there anyone in council chambers who would like to come forward and speak to this item? Oh, come forward. You can take your pick of microphones, push the button. When it lights up red, you're ready to go.
Good morning.
Please state your name and your address.
My name is Tim Davies. I live at 34570 West Street. I'd like to just question, how is this building going to impact the value of our real estate? Considering the building is not going to take place in 1 year, it's going to be like a 3, 4, 5 year project. So how are we supposed to maintain the value of our property with all the construction that's taken place?
So just so you know, this is a forum for providing your comments and your thoughts. I'm gonna take notes of the questions that you do have, but you won't get your answers directly at this point, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I just want to ask the
Of
question.
course. Did you have any other comments?
Just about the traffic impact, and I think Bill has already questioned that. Because it's already chaos to get out of our area. And the construction vehicles and everything that's gonna be taking place. We're gonna be stuck in our houses.
Okay. Thank you. If you don't have any more comments, I don't have any questions from the committee.
That's good.
Very good. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much for your time.
Thank you. You too. Is there anyone else in council chambers who would like to speak to this item? Madam Clerk, can you confirm we don't have anyone online?
Through the chair, there are no raised hands.
Okay, so we'll now move out of the public portion of this hearing. The developer and the representatives will have 5 minutes to provide some clarification on questions that have been brought forward. Should you wish to take that?
I won't take my full 5 minutes. We certainly are aware of the traffic concerns of the neighbors. That seems all related to their development, and we'll support them through the site plan process about how we can deal with it. But I think it's going to be primarily on the backs of the transportation department that maybe can deal with that.
Short and sweet. Thank you. Does anyone have questions of the applicant at this point? Since we have, okay. Seeing
Thank you.
none, we'll be discussing this shortly. So the public meeting is now closed, and I'll need a mover and a seconder to put item 4.1 on the floor, moved by Councillor McCreary, seconded by Councillor Carpenter. There we go. All right, any discussion? I have Councillor McCreary was waiting in the queue.
Madam Chair, thank you. Through you to staff. Would staff be able to offer a comment with respect to any impact the development would have during construction and following construction on adjacent property values across the street and the townhouse condo property?
Through the chair to the councillor Nicole Wilmot, Chief Planner and Director of Planning and Development Services. So I think it is important to consider, and I will premise it by saying that I am not a real estate expert. However, I will indicate that, you know, currently this site is a vacant industrial site along a major intensification corridor. Probably not very suitable in terms of future industrial uses in this area, only to create further land use conflict in the area. Seeing this area develop as an intensification corridor with this type of use, staff are of the opinion that this would have a positive impact on property values in the area, considering the current vacant and derelict site that it is today.
That was very thorough. Thank you. With respect to the site plan process, could you remind the committee if ward councillors have a role to play with respect to the site plan process?
So through the chair to the councillor, absolutely yes. So some of the comments that we heard today from the resident are really great, and we take those under advisement. So the city is undertaking an update to the transportation master plan. As many people know, we are a community that is growing, and it is required to look at transportation and transportation networks throughout the city on an ongoing basis. So that review is currently being undertaken. In addition to that, there is a lot of construction in that area right now. We do recognize that. So that's adding to some of the congestion and so on and so forth. But we do know that that is temporary. But the traffic with respect to this specific development can be addressed through the site planning process. And we will look at options to ensure optimal flow of traffic, both entering and leaving the site, but then also the impact to surrounding neighborhoods. We work with the ward councillors as sort of a liaison between the public and staff and the applicants when working through that process. And we can absolutely take Mr. Cheever's contact information if we don't already have it from the clerk, and we can pass that on to our friends in Public Works who are undertaking the transportation updates so that they can stay involved in what that broader update is looking at and the recommendations that will be coming forward.
So this is a borderland development, center line marking the border between 4 and 3 wards. Could you make sure that Greg and I get included on documents that come through site plan process? So that we can pass that information on and receive info from our constituents. Cool. Thank you.
And next in line, Councillor Slice.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to staff, is Mr. Ferguson's group involved in the traffic? Are they doing a study now so that prior to construction, we have solutions, potential solutions presented?
So it's actually not being led by Mr. Ferguson. It's being led by our infrastructure planning group, so Mike Abraham. But they will be consulting ultimately with those that are using the roads, and that would be Dave Ferguson's group with respect to transit and operations. So I'm assuming there's an ongoing working group that consists of numerous departments within the city.
Okay, and I guess further to that, Nicole, the residents have concerns with the traffic movement in that area. And it's going to be addressed through the site plan approval process, but will they have an opportunity to review what is being proposed prior to recommendations being made back to the committee?
So recommendations, actually, site planning is not a public process in the sense that it will not be coming back with respect to a public hearing. But through that process, we work with the ward councillors to address those concerns.
So there's an avenue to keep people informed and to allow them to have a review of what's being proposed and
yes,
comment
absolutely.
on it via their ward councillors. Is that
correct?
Okay. Just a couple more questions. The commercial space on the ground floor, is the intent of that to service the general public, or is that to serve the residents residing there?
Through the chair, our applicant can probably get a better answer for that question. But to my understanding, the commercial uses are going to be servicing both the planned tenants of the site as well as the adjacent residential neighborhoods as well.
Okay.
And I guess finally, elevators. We're dealing with older folks here, and I had a situation in my ward where there was only one elevator in a multi-level building. And when it was being serviced, folks were stranded, that could not make it down because of mobility issues and other reasons. I would presume that there's more than one and that there would always be a backup to get people, up and down in a building of this size.
Through you, Chair, correct. I've just confirmed with the architect that there are 2 elevators proposed for the building.
Okay, I understand there's at least 2, so that they would never be serviced at the same time, or it would be a freak act of God if they both went out at the same time. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Counselor Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just the staff, question staff. My understanding from previous developments that we've discussed for high-rise development, that actually apartment living, for example, would produce less traffic than actually a commercial establishment. In fact, commercial establishment traffic all day long, where residential is usually, you know, in the morning if they're at work or when they come home. So my understanding is commercial establishment, if this is a full commercial plaza, it would draw much more traffic than a living location. Is that pretty much accurate?
Through the chair, Jeff Cornwall, project manager, development transportation. So through the transportation impact study, we had the site split up into the use of independent apartment living, the retirement home, and a commercial plaza. And the commercial, even though the commercial plaza is a small part of the development, it generates more than 1/3 of the traffic.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So, so this establishment is going to be rental units for retirement, high-end rental units. I understand the cheapest rental unit is going to be $3,300 for a studio apartment, which provides services, food services, and there are higher level of services, in fact, nursing services on a higher level floors with higher need and higher payment. So it's a very unique model for what we're talking about here for the commercial establishment, as I understand by talking to the opponent, would be like a hairdressing shop, a barber shop, would serve the area community. This is a unique development. And secondly, as to Councilor Celeste's comments about the elevators, I've also understanding that if you live on floor number 8, your pass will only get you to floor number 8 on the elevator, so that you will not be having people wandering different floors that don't belong there, unless of course they're invited by the resident that lives there. That'll providing great security for the residents that also live here at different levels. So it's unique living. I think it's the first one I've seen of this size and this kind in our community. But I think Foxwood is doing something similar on Linden Road, but a different model. So I just think this is unique. I think the questions of that was raised about traffic on West Street, that's consistent with the increased commercial flow on West Street. As West Street begins to be more and more developed with intensification, we'll need to look at West Street anyways, and what that traffic flow looks like. That'll be part of our master transportation plan. Needs to be done as well. 570 West Street's been there for a long time. There wasn't a lot of development on West Street at the time. And development has increased dramatically since then. So I'm very supportive of this development. It's unique for the neighborhood. It's what the community needs and what the aging population needs. This is you don't have to go into a long-term care home. You can go here and you can get different levels of service as you need. And as you age, you can ask for more levels of service. There's an example. There's a restaurant there just for the residents. And if I was there or Councilor Celeste was there, we'd have our own chair, and that would be the spot we sit in all the time in the restaurant. And if we didn't show up for lunch or dinner one day, they would go and check on our unit, see where we were. This is a unique way for people to live independently with some care and added care as they need. This is a unique model. I think it's going to be growing in our community and growing across the country as the population ages. So I congratulate staff for the work on this and for the proponent for bringing this up forward. That's much needed in our community. I fully in support of this, as you can tell.
Thank you. Reminding the committee, this is a zoning application, zoning amendment application. So we'll just stay on topic here. If anyone's looking to speak, Councilor McCreary.
Madam Chair, thank you for that. That's whatever it was. Thank you. So As the delegation implied, we could do a heck of a lot worse with respect to what happens on this site. And the involvement of the counselors representing the folks who live at 570 West will make sure that we come away with the best deal we can get with respect to the impacts on the neighborhood. We are in this position because of policies and practices of senior levels of government, and the city of Brantford and other communities and places to grow areas are the wonderful beneficiaries of the failures of other levels of governments who deal with growth effectively where it originates from. So I do want to allay the concerns that some of our folks across the street have with respect to how this development will unfold. This is the developer who is building the project on North Park Street currently. And like the 570 West Street experience, there have been some concerns next door with the townhouse condominium at 140, I think it's 146 North Park. And their concerns are generally looked after in a timely fashion by the developer. And the impact, although there is some, is not of a nature that you might expect from some other developments and some other developers. So I think we can be rest assured that they'll do their best to make sure the impacts in the short-term construction period are not significant on you folks at all. So I'm happy to support this, knowing full well that we'll do the best we can do to get the best deal for you with respect to traffic and other minor issues that'll come up in the site plan process.
All right, seeing no further speakers, I will just make a few comments that I'm fully supportive of this zoning amendment application. I think a development such as this is much needed in our community, and something like this actually has quite the domino effect when we're looking at our housing market, because right now we have an aging demographic that is aging in place and staying in their great big homes that they've been in for 30 or 40 years, and they don't want to leave because there's nothing appropriate for them to move into, right? So, someone wants to move into something a little smaller but still maintain a certain level of living. I think a project like this will offer that as an option to our aging demographic, and basically open up inventory for younger first-time home buyers to come in and look at being able to get their foot in the market. So I do think there's some validity to looking at the traffic in the area. It's already a zoo up there, especially now around Christmas. So I think looking at that, and I have full faith in both the ward councillors and the neighboring ward as well, that they'll look at that and make sure that the concerns of the residents are taken into account there. So seeing no one left to speak, I will call the vote.
Item 4.1 carries on a recorded vote of 5-0. Those voting in favor, Councillor Sokoli, Sless, McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg.
Very good. We have no delegations or presentations, no items for consideration, no resolutions, no notice of motions, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.